Okay, all right. So now that we have Figma downloaded, in this video I'm going to give you a quick tour of the Figma dashboard, then walk through the Figma file template I put together for all the UI exercises found in the bootcamp curriculum. All right, so let's do this tour. So first off, what we're looking at here is sort of the Figma dashboard or home area. Right out the gate, it has my recent files selected by default. But if I look over here on the left side, I have basically a section for all my favorite files that I can open and collapse. And if I am looking at any file and click the star here, I can add it to my favorites. I can also remove it from my favorites just by clicking the star. So clicking the star pins a file here to the left hand side. I can drag it all the way to the top. And when I hover, it'll give me a nice preview as well. Beneath favorite files is teams. So the way that Figma is set up is you have what's called an organization. So at this topmost level here, you can see the various organizations I'm part of. I have my own organization, my own personal organization, Twilio, which is another company, and then Level, which is where I work. Down in this drop-down too, I can access Figma's community as well. The Figma community has tons of plugins and free assets and UI kits and resources to get started very quickly. Okay, so let me hop back into my personal Carl Lee organization. So within the Carl Lee organization, I have several teams. You can see right here, I have two teams, something called Carl Stuff, which has all my personal files, Figma education stuff, and then this USF UI UX Bootcamp team. So it's really up to you how you want to organize, but I imagine most of you, once you get the Figma for Education or student version license, you'll have the ability to create multiple teams. So in this case, I've created two teams, one for just my stuff and one for the Design Bootcamp. And you can think of these teams as the topmost folders. And then within each team, so for example, for the Design Bootcamp team, you can have unlimited number of projects as well. So within this team, USF UI UX Bootcamp, if I click into here, you can see that I have a project called UI Practice Exercises, and inside here I have a bunch of files, right? So the way this works is you have, to recap, organizations, that's up here. You have teams, that's here. And then within each team, you have projects. So this is one project called UI Practice Exercises. And then within this project, you have multiple files. Okay, so again, organization is the topmost level. Teams, think of this as sort of like a folder. And then within each team, you can have more folders called projects, and then within projects you can have files. I know it'll take a little bit of time to get used to that, but hopefully that helps you understand very quickly how sort of files and teams, folders, projects are all structured. All right, so now I'm going to click into this Design Bootcamp UI Practice Exercises template. So if I go over here, this is the cover. So in this Figma file, you'll notice that right out the gate, Figma has left and right panels, as well as a top bar here, some buttons here on the top right, and then the canvas, which is in the center of the display, right? One of the things I love to do right out the gate, if you're asking yourself, Carl, how did you get this dark mode? It's actually very easy. So if you go back to home and then click your drop down, you can change your theme here to dark. If you're inside this view here, you can also sort of just search for dark mode. Or sorry, not there, but in view, that's the scale. Actually, if you just do, if you type Command P, it'll bring up this keyboard shortcut or this little search, and you can type dark mode, use dark mode, and it'll automatically turn it on. So again, for Mac, that was Command P, type dark mode, and that'll turn on dark mode. All right, so that's how everything here on the left and the right is in my screen is dark. So now that we have this file open, what I want to walk through is the panels here. So on the left hand side, you can see here the top, this is the pages within this Figma file. If I click this little top right corner here, this is my current page that I have selected, but if I click it, it'll bring my later's panel, which is within this page's aspect, all the way to the top. So this canvas here, I only have one frame called cover, and inside cover I have a logo, I have a titles layer, I have a date layer, and all these little layers here are either frames with auto layout applied, or sort of like text elements, or an image element, right? If I click this top right, it'll expand this pages section again, so I can drag this down and then see all the pages here. There's a lot of pages in this template because there's a lot of UI exercises. In fact, there's about 20. So if I go over the table of contents here, you'll notice that I have broken this out per section with links. So each of these are links. If I click this, it'll take me back to a specific Figma page here. And then if I click into a specific exercise, you'll notice that I pasted all the instructions inside this Figma page. And then there's also a link to back to Springboard or the USF curriculum, right? So if I go back to Figma, the exercise link here for this 3.3.3, Unit 3, step number 3, exercise number 3, or 5.1.4, these links should take you back to the corresponding website or page in the curriculum. Let me know if you run into any errors or issues there. But on the right, every exercise, again, has the instructions and project steps that are found in each of the Google Docs. You'll also have your starting Figma files, sort of like kind of pasted here, ready to go for you. And that way you don't have to waste time kind of downloading too many things. The raw Figma files that are attached to various exercises are also inside this particular UI practice exercises project, which I'm happy to share with you all. Just feel free to direct message me on Slack. The last thing I want to walk through is this right side panel. So by default, we have the design tab selected. And if I'm clicking on the canvas, it'll tell me the background of my canvas is this black. I can make this even blacker, right? Or if I want it to be white, I can change the hex color here to manipulate the background color for this particular page, right? You'll also see that I've defined some text styles local to this Figma file. I won't get into this in this video too much, but let's say I'm designing and I've finished sort of designing something. I want to start prototyping. I can enter prototyping mode by clicking prototype here in the top right and start dragging and dropping these arrows, which will help me sort of facilitate the interaction design of what I'm working with. So that's what prototype is. And then the last one here, the last tab here is called inspect. And what inspect does is it allows me to, as a, let's pretend I'm also responsible for developing this design. It'll give me all the CSS properties and even code that I need to essentially start writing the relevant HTML, CSS, and JavaScript code to start implementing this design. Okay, so that's the design prototype and inspect tabs on this right side panel very quickly. On the left side, I mentioned clicking this top right drop down here will hide and show the pages within this Figma file, as well as make it easier for me to kind of look at all the frames that I have on this page, frames and layers. If I expand this, I can jump through all the pages here. And then two more things before I wrap up this video. In order to sort of hide the rulers here, I can do Shift R, and that'll hide the pixel rulers. So Shift R toggles either shows or hides the various rulers. And then on Mac, Command period also hides and shows the whole sort of UI display here. And then I believe on a PC, that would be Control period or Control backslash. So for a Mac, it's Control period. For Windows or PC, it would be Control backslash. So Mac, Command period, PC, Control backslash to hide and show the left and right panels. Okay, that was a lot. Let's stop there for now. There's so much more I can get into, but I'll save it for the next videos. And again, if you are finding this video series helpful, please consider supporting me by buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Carl Lee. It will really encourage me to keep making these videos. Thanks so much.